You are listening to episode 9 of the Upper Elementary Simplified Podcast. And in this special Thursday episode, I'm going to be giving you some teacher podcast recommendations that came from my amazing audience. Also, listen up for the summer challenge clue. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to episode number 4. Welcome to Upper Elementary Simplified, the podcast where busy and overwhelmed teachers find thoughtful ideas to get students engaged in meaningful learning experiences. Hi, I'm Danna Rodebush, former 5th grade classroom teacher and founder of Teacher Tech Studio. I'm here to share practical tips and strategies that will help you grow as an educator. If you are a tired upper elementary teacher searching for ways to cut down your planning time while boosting student engagement, you are in the right spot. Are you ready? Let's simplify. The flip-flops equal the letter H, as in hippopotamus. In case you missed the last 2 Thursday episodes, every Thursday in June, I am bringing you a top 10 style episode that has been inspired from a survey that I sent out to my audience a few weeks ago. I talked about how even though these episodes are going to be structured as a top 10, I'm actually calling them Thursday 13 because I just can't resist a chance to use alliteration. And then the remaining recommendations will be listed out in the show notes. In episode 5, I gave you 13 recommended fictional reads for the summer. And in episode 7, I gave you 13 professional book recommendations. This week, I'm going to give you 13 recommended teacher podcasts, and the rest will be listed out in the show notes. So don't worry about trying to write all of these down because you can find links to all of the podcast recommendations by going to upperelementarysimplified.com/episode 9. Summer is the perfect time to get some professional development hours completed. If you are listening to this in real time, I would love for you to join myself and several other math educators at this year's Cheerful Math Conference. This is a virtual upper elementary math conference loaded with video presentations, free gifts, and a chance for you to grow professionally in your pajamas. Find the link to the event in the show notes for today's episode or at upperelementarysimplified.com/math conference. I hope to see you there. Going through this list of podcast names has solidified for me the fact that I'm not the only teacher who loves alliteration. It is definitely a teacher thing. So let's get right to the list of recommended education podcasts. Number 13, The Reading Teacher's Playbook with Eva Morellis is for grades 3 through 5 reading teachers who are looking for guidance for their literacy block. You will hear tips and tools about how to create intentional and engaging reading lessons for your students. Number 12, The Mindful Math Podcast with Chrissy Allison from Mindful Math Coach is a show for teachers to gain tips for mindset, strategies for instruction, time-saving tricks, and stories of lessons learned to help them serve students at the highest level. Number 11, the Teachers Off Duty Podcast. This podcast comes from the creative minds behind Bored Teachers, which, if you are familiar with them, you know they can always give teachers a good laugh. Number 10, the Build Math Minds podcast is hosted by Christina Tondevald, where she encourages teachers to change their way of teaching math so that students become problem solvers and lovers of math. Number 9, the Truth for Teachers podcast with Angela Watson is a podcast for K-12 teachers to come for encouragement and tips of productivity in the classroom and in life. Number 8, The Dog Ate My Homework is a podcast that is geared toward parents of elementary students who are looking for ways to support their math learners at home. Host Melanie Doppler of Math Coach Connection provides practical strategies for parents that teachers can also implement. And the best part is that as a teacher, you can direct your parent questions to Melanie. Number 7, Simply Teach Podcast. has a strong focus on organization and time management for teachers. Host Kelly Jackson of the Simply Organized Teacher and her guests encourage classroom teachers with practical and simple classroom tools. Number 6, the Literacy Dive podcast is hosted by Megan Polk, where she uses her passion for reading and writing to provide teachers with strategies for student engagement during their literacy block. Number 5, the Classroom Commute podcast. Host Rachel Parlett and her guests invite you to carpool with them and listen to teaching tips and strategies on your ride to school. Number 4, Making Math Moments That Matter is described as Math PD for your earbuds. Hosts John Orr and Kyle Pierce provide listeners with advice and tips on how to create a classroom culture where students don't want to stop learning math when the bell rings. And it's intended for teachers of students in kindergarten through 12th grade. Number 3, Math is Figure Outable with Pam Harris, and her co host Kim Montague provides math teachers with strategies for teaching math and how to make math make sense for students. Number 2, the Stellar Teacher podcast by Sarah Marie. Sarah is a literacy specialist who shows up consistently for her listeners and provides ways to level up literacy instruction and make a massive impact with students. And number 1 on our list of recommended teacher podcasts is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. This show is for busy teachers, so every teacher. Host Vicki Davis of the Cool Cat Teacher and her guests provide motivation and tools in brief episodes to support the need for teachers to make the most of their time as a busy teacher. Remember, I am linking each of these podcasts plus several others that were mentioned in the show notes. And again, you can find those at upperelementarysimplified.com/episode 9. Well, that is all for today. Tune in next Tuesday as we discuss my thoughts about math fact fluency. And be sure to check out the Cheerful Math Conference linked in the show notes. Do you have a topic that you would like for me to discuss on the podcast? I'm always looking for new ideas and would love it if you would let me know what you want to hear about. If you would like to submit a topic for the podcast, go to upperelementarysimplified.com/submit a topic, and I will link that in the show notes. There's a quick form there for you to fill out, and I will do my best to create an episode just for you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Upper Elementary Simplified. I hope you are able to take away something useful that will help you grow as a teacher. I do have a quick favor to ask before you go. If you are enjoying the podcast, please let me know by leaving me a review. It really does make a difference because reviews impact search results, which helps me to expand my reach to other educators. Plus, I love to read my listeners' comments. Until next time, keep life simple.